Well, Sharon, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. You followed a different route into elite road running than a lot of Kenyan athletes, and we're going to get into that in a bit. But New York City Marathon coming up, the place that you won on your debut over the distance, and I guess it brings back happy memories for you.
Yes, it does. It does. I'm really excited to go back to New York. It's been a really good build up, and I'm really looking forward to what's to come.
Yeah, how's training gone generally? I mean, you've spoken before about training outside of the US where you're based. So you've gone back to Kenya, I think, for some, but I don't think you did for Boston. Was that fully in the States that you trained for that one? Is that correct?
Yeah, I've been in the States since after the Olympics last year. So it's been since August. So I did my short build here for New York last year, and then yeah, I did my build for New York, and then I'm doing my build for New York again here. So yeah, it's been a different, but in a way I really like the way it's been, and I just didn't want to change anything, and I just wanted to keep the same things. And if everything is going well, why change it, right? So I just wanted to make sure that I'm like just staying consistent and just following everything that I'm doing, and making sure I'm getting everything that I need to be ready, and have a successful day when it comes to race day.
So yeah, you're really established as a marathon athlete now. Do you feel like you've got that perfect formula, and you and your coach know exactly how to peak for these marathons, or are you still kind of experimenting and trying new things?
I feel like every build is different. And it's like, I don't know. For me with like marathon, every time I'm like, oh, it's like I almost know what I need to do. But then it gets to some point, and training goes a certain way, or you have a race that changes the way you train, and that changes everything. So yes, there's like a few things that we've really gotten to like know what it works and what it doesn't, but there's still a few other things that we're learning along the way. Um and learning, getting new experiences, and with every race it's a different experience. And given like these two races, yes, I've done them maybe twice. So I almost have an idea of how it is, but it's like it's different. I cannot tell you like this build is the same as it was last year. So there's so much that I'm still learning, and I'm still trying to figure out as I grow in this marathon running.
Mhm. Um, we're going to come back to New York a little
Yeah.
bit later on. Really want to get into that and how things sort of playing out, what your plans are. I know you're not going to give too much away, but we'll come to that in a bit. But it's really good to get to know you a bit more, and a bit more about your background. So
Yeah.
let's go back and talk about you growing up in Kenya,
Yeah.
and just generally. I mean, set the scene. What was your childhood like growing up? How would you describe?
I grew up in a family of four girls, so and a single mom. So we all like life was, different. It wasn't anything about running, for a very long time. And when I graduated class 8, I just was like I started running late. Um so then I got into like a really good high school, and so I ran, I think, for 2 years in that high school. I was recruited because of running, which, 1 year of running and then you're already getting recruited. That was something that it doesn't happen most of the time. So I went to this high school. I was there for 4 years. But I think when I like the secondary, when I got there, it just was like, you're growing up, you're young, you just want to experience everything. And there was other events that I could do, and I just was like, I just want to. So I did running for 2 years, and then I switched to like netball and something else. And it's like at that time, I'm like, I just want to anything that gets me to go out of it's a boarding school, so anything that would
Mm.
get you to go out of like campus was what I I needed then. And then I graduated high school. I had not run for 2 years. Um, and I just did like at that point, life was just it just you're out of high school now. It's time to figure out what's next. And I had good grades, which was good. I was gonna go to college anyway. I if I could afford it. But at that point, like we couldn't really afford it. So then I was like, I saw someone had made it to through running. They had gotten a scholarship to go to the US. So my uncle was like, you can try this, you're really good. And I'm like, yeah, maybe. So I was at home for 1 year, and then I was like, okay, maybe it's time for me to go, because at that point there was no option. Like there was no other way of going to campus or anything. So I decided to go and start running again. So I started running 2014. So I had been home for 1 year. I graduated 2012 in high school. So I had been home for 1 year. 2014, I went to a training camp, and I started running there for 1 year. And then it was just like, it's one of those things. You just send videos to different schools and hoping they will pick you. And one day I got picked by University of Kansas, and that's how I came to the US.
But I like the idea that you could have like had a career in netball instead if, if that had gone well. Why not?
Can you imagine? Think about it, and I'm like, I don't know.
But when you talk about getting into running quite late on and that you'd only done a couple of years of it, did you enjoy it? Was it something you really liked doing, or was it something that you just knew you were good at?
I really liked when I was doing it when I was in primary school, because I was doing it, like I did it, and it was fun. I just had this really, like, I would not train, and then I would go and compete, and I would still win. And I'm like, oh, this is great. And everyone will cheer for you. Everyone is like so happy. But what helped me, that route that we went for the cross country meet is the same route that you used to do when I go home for lunch. So I knew exactly where all the routes were. So I think I don't know, it somehow, and I used that. So, and it just like, it got better and better. And as you grow, being an adolescent, it's different. So I think that's when, I was like, I'll do something else. I'll do something else. But then I went back to it, and I started to enjoy it, and I started to get so much better. And, I just wanted to keep seeing what else I can achieve. And, I just kept growing, and it's been this.
We hear a lot of Kenyan athletes talk about growing up in a family where running was, they had an uncle, they had often a sibling, and that was obviously, it's so popular in Kenya. It's a bit, it's interesting to hear from a Kenyan athlete that maybe it wasn't something that you grew up doing for years and years and years, but came to later, and that motivation for college as well. Was that a real driver for you to be able to go and get an education from your sport?
Yeah, I mean, yes, as you said earlier, like no one in my family runs. I don't like, we've tried to go back and figure out if there was anyone, but it's just no one ever really ran. So it was different. And so for a very long time I was like, oh, maybe it won't work for me. But until later when I realized it doesn't really have to do with anyone else. It just had to do with me. And so, yeah, when I came back, and, I learned about, at that time, I wanted the best for me and the best for my family. So when the opportunity to get a scholarship and come to the US came up, I couldn't let it go. I was like, I have to go and focus and, at least improve the family, like the life of my family and my other siblings. I'm the oldest, so I had to be an adult early on. So, yeah, it was actually like, I think it motivated me to work harder and want to achieve and just want to come here and, see how life is and where it gets me.
But it sounds like to me that's the running gave you access to your scholarship to the US, and that's how you looked at it, rather than, so it was education first, the running just got you in. Is that how you felt? Is that how it felt at that point? So at this point, are you thinking I could go to the US and maybe one day I can be an elite runner? Or are you thinking, well, actually the running's just got me in, I'll do something else in the future?
I actually, like, when I go to the US, I was like, now that I'm here, I can focus on other things,
Exactly, yeah.
It's funny how life is. The things that you don't really want to, it gets you. It like slowly just gets you. And I got here and I started, like, in college, you have like NCAAs and competitions every week and every other. So it was one of those things. I'm like, once I graduate, I just want to be like anyone else that came here, I wanted to be a nurse. You know, it was one thing that you're like, you do it, you'll have a, and it still is the case. Because it's something, and I was like, I did my first year and then my second year, and I'm like, I don't know if this is what I really want, you know. And so at that time, running was picking up, and I was like, you know, I'll just continue like with school and focus with this. But my junior year of college, that's when things changed, and you know, I just was more like, you know, I think running is what I am gonna go like do after this. So I just progressed and chose running full time. I still had school to do, so but at this time, you know, my the way I thought about it, it already changed, and it was already switched to like, okay, I'm gonna focus a little bit more on running and see where this goes.
What was there a turning point then? Was there a particular performance or a coach or another athlete that inspired you that helped change that switch and move the focus towards running?
For I would say like yeah, maybe part of it is my coach, part of it is like the results we were getting. At that time I was for a very long time I was just being top 10. You know, we go to like national championships. I'm like either like sixth, seventh, you know, I was coming with a medal all the time. It's like it was the thing that I was like, you know, I can get better or I can be just as average as here. And I think that year I won like outdoors, I won NCAA nationals. And I think that was like, okay, you know, and it was one of those that you're like, you don't really expect it of yourself. I just was like, I was just used to being second, third, fourth, you know. And then that happened and I was like, oh, okay. So this can be how it is. So we went back with my coach and he was like, Sharon, you really have the talent. You just need to like believe in yourself more and work on it more. And um yeah, I graduated the next year and I started, you know, it was just one of those things. So where am I gonna go? Like, what's life gonna be after I graduate? So it just started being like figuring out what would happen from there.
And was it smooth then out of college? Because for many people, they'd view an NCAA title as a golden ticket. That's it, you're sorted. You're going to be fine. Or you know, was there an adjustment period? Was it hard to find that contract and that professional kind of setup?
It wasn't smooth. I would say, you know, as a Kenyan, it's not like just getting a national title is not it's not just like anyone else. For you, it's still you still have to prove like a couple more other times. So like I didn't like I expected to be like, oh, getting offers from companies and all that, but it wasn't like it wasn't the case, you know. So I moved to Flagstaff after I graduated, and that's when I met with my coach now and my agent. And you know, I when I go here, like they didn't really have anything, so they were just starting like different groups, and he didn't like no one was really offering anything, so he was like, okay, I'll just can stay with us. And I think Andama was starting to create a group here at that time. And it was like, okay, you know what? We'll give you something here and you can start from that and let's see how it goes. And yeah, for a very long time, I think 2 years, I just was running and trying to make something of it. And then COVID hits, you know, and it was a time where it's like, it just was like, I was just not improving. I was just being average. I was not getting like to that, like, okay, I'm a professional now. I should be getting like to these races. I should be getting to these meets. I should be running this fast. But it was just for a long time, it was like that. But then COVID hits and then I went to Kenya and I started doing like a bit longer. Like I did road racing before COVID, like 2019, and then 2020 nothing, and then I went to Kenya after. And I did training and it was different because then I was doing more running, like more mileage, and it just felt different. And so when I came back, we started doing like half marathon, you know, a lot more like road races. And it was just something that it just felt like I was in the right place. And so that year, we just kept like, I think that was like late 2021. And then 2022, I started doing like new half, you know. I think I did I did a half in the UK. That was my first half. And then I came to the US for the New York half, and then I did another half in Hawaii, and I did like, I think it was like all somewhere between 70 to 68, 69. So then my coach was like, oh, this is, it's not bad. And I was really having a good time. And then I went back, I did another 10K, and I was running 32 low and then 31. And I'm like, oh, okay, And then that year he was like, okay, maybe we should try something else. And it was 2022 now. I was like, maybe we should try and see, we can sign up for a marathon and see how it goes since you already have the mileage. I stayed in Kenya for 3 months, which I really like. Within that period, I had a lot of mileage in me, and it was doing so well. It was like, maybe we should do the same. You go back to Kenya and we can try and do a marathon and see how that goes. And that's how New York happened.
Were you intimidated by the marathon? Or
Yes.
did you feel, so did you feel like you were always going to be a marathoner, or was it, was it scary?
No. No, even when I was training for it, people are like, when you hit 30 or 35, it's just going to start kicking. And then when I hit 35, like when I was in New York, I got dropped at like 25 already. I'm like, well, I guess mine already came early. And then I just kept, and then someone else was with me, and we just kept going. And I think at like 30, we caught up with the first group, and then we just kept going with them. And I'm like, okay, And as you keep going at 35, I was waiting to hit that wall. But then I was getting stronger and stronger, and we kept even to like 40K. I still did not believe I was still in the group, And it just was like one of those things. I finished, I crossed, and I'm like, wow. This it still is like one of my, I don't think I'll ever forget that moment, honestly. It just, yeah.
And do you think, when you talk about this approach of you being a youngster and not necessarily thinking, I'm going to end up as a fantastic athlete, not on that conveyor belt, and then you go to a marathon and you think, I'm not sure about this, it's going to be hard. Do you think that mindset has been perhaps powerful for you? That it's, do you think that's unlocked like a freedom to compete, or you haven't put pressure on yourself with it?
I think so. I think even like when I was in college, my coach used to like have like I had teammates, but he used to he would have them start ahead of time. Like they would start before me. He'll give them like maybe a 2-minute head start, and then he'll go, all right, Sharon, it's time for you. I want you to go, like get your tempo going, but I want you to close as you go and just keep catching them. And I think for a very long time, I think in a way I used to think, I'm like, why is he doing this to me? But I think he was like, in a way he was helping me, because even now I'm like, every time I'm running, I still have that. It still is like, it might be so far away, but just take time, just focus on what you can do now and you can achieve it later. So yeah, I think it's just been like just having like not being pressure, like having too much pressure in my mind, and just knowing when to like make the move and when not to stress, and just when to think about then, and just focus on like those small things and keep building as I go. And even to this point, I feel like even when I'm still training, it still is like, marathon is not easy. It's not the same every single time, You win today, tomorrow you're 4th, tomorrow you're 10th, it's all over the place. But like just having like coming back and thinking, okay, this is what worked, this is what didn't work. Just focus on like, just focus on what you can achieve, and just think about that. And I think it's helped me in so many ways. And some other time I'm like, I wish I didn't have all this, because in my head I'm like, there's nothing hard. You can go and achieve whatever you want. Like even when I see someone has dropped, I'm like, you can close it. Come on, you can do it. I just have to be, I have to remind myself sometimes. I'm like, okay, just chill a little bit, but it's.
but you mentioned COVID there as well. I just wonder if we go back to that period where you felt like results weren't quite coming together, and then, COVID wiped out any opportunity for so many of us to do anything. You were probably missing family and missing home as well. Yeah. How much of that influenced, do you think, the results a couple of years later?
It almost influenced me to stop running. I was just like, maybe I should go back to school, because you don't know what is gonna come after that. Like you've been average, and like with companies now it's different. They have to see the results. And so at that point, I was like, I've only been here maybe 1.5 years. I had to, if that was not enough to show anything, then it's time, because it was then like a 3-year contract. So that was like the time it was about to expire. So I had to maybe if they don't resign me, then I'm done with running. If they do, then God help me, I will do my best, and things might change. And I think it worked out well, because then as soon as that was over, we kept training here in Flagstaff. I mean, it wasn't like usual, but we just kept training. And when everything opened up, we were able to like get into races that we were just doing like better. And I think, yeah, it was one of those things that I just kept. Yes, I was missing my family, but then I also knew that I had to really work hard if I needed to get something out of it.
And just talking about maybe a sort of crossroads moment here, Sharon, when you started to move over to the roads. So we come out of COVID-ish, you can do the races, and we know that the Olympics are going to happen. I think you did compete in the Kenyan Olympic trials, didn't you, over 10,000 meters? So, and then just a couple of months later, you do the Great North Run, you come fourth. Now, this is the first time that you seem to really start to, your career with Hellen Obiri really starts to intertwine. It keeps on coming back, and we're going to keep on circling back to it, I think. It keeps on being part of the narrative. But I mean, you didn't make the Olympic team on the 10,000 meters, but then you have a really good half marathon at a Great North Run. So I think you came fourth, didn't you? I think Obiri won that one as well. but was that a moment then when you were in the UK that you just thought, actually, I didn't expect it to go that well. Actually, it felt really good. This feels like my place. After maybe the disappointment where you said you didn't feel like you were going anywhere, was it a moment? Was that the moment you thought, I've got to pursue this?
Yeah, I'd like after the trials, I think I was 7th or 8th, and I like going in, I was feeling so strong, I'm like, I gave myself, like, I always give myself a chance. I'm like, don't count yourself out. So I go in and I'm like, I'll do my best, I'll do whatever it is, but it's Kenya and it's championship. So I I came off 7th, and I'm like, I have so much fitness in me, I'm not gonna give up. So like that, like right after, like directly after that, like I couldn't go to any diamond leagues or anything like that. I wasn't that good to get there. So my coach was like, we'll switch some things and we can do a few road races and see how that goes. So yes, my first race was Great North, and yeah, that was hard because I'd never done anything longer than that, and I just wasn't expecting it to be. Yeah, it was like one of those that I'm like, just tempo. Just do it as a tempo along like a longer one, and just see how it feels. And I think that time it was still the COVID route, so it was going out was quick. Coming up was like you're going up the whole time. And the whole time I'm like, what did I get myself into? But I kept fighting. There was like, it was also like Ailish. It was just all these like big names and everyone. And I just was like, I'll just run and see how it goes. And it was the first time I think I ran a 71 or 70, something like that. And I was so happy about it. I was like, it's one of those, yay, let's go. I already conquered it. And then from there onwards, we just kept like, how my coach was like, I think we can. I really enjoyed it though. It was hard, but I was having a good time. And from there, it was like, let's just try and do more of this and see how it goes. And I think after that, I had another race, but it was shorter this time. And then, yeah, the next year I went back to Kenya. And then the next year, I came back again, and I think I did New York half, and I ran 69, I think. And it was on a hard course. And I'm like, okay, then this is going well. And so it just started from there, and we just kept getting, and I was starting to like just enjoy the training and enjoy, have a good time with what I was doing. And it didn't feel like I was just pushing myself anymore to just achieve these things. I was just doing it because I was enjoying it and having a good time.
Yeah,
So
and the New York Marathon where you win. How much do you remember about the build up to that race? Because I remember there was so much hype around Helen going into that race because of everything she'd achieved on the track. And that was her debut, the year that you won it for the first time. But then you've also got legends of Kenyan racing in this sport. So Edna Kiplagat was in the same race, and I just wonder how much you. looked up to her, whether you managed to get any advice from her. Did you sort of exchange some ideas before that race? How well do you know her?
Actually, it was Edna who told me when we got dropped. When I was talking earlier about the race, the one person that was telling me, okay, love, come on, we can do it, we can catch up to them, was Edna. So Edna, you are in a race and Edna is telling you, come on, we can do it.
Can I listen?
You're not. You have to collect yourself, get everything that you can, to just go. And so when like right at that moment, I was just like, I'm gone. I'm just staying with her for as long as I could. And yes, we caught up with them and we just stayed with them for a little bit. But I think we were just going in like very strong. And we just, at that point when we got to them, we're just too strong to even stay with them. We just kept going. And at this time, I'm like, you don't use all your energy. But she's like, here. And I'm like, okay, I will stay there. So yeah, a big part of like that day and that event was just having people like telling me, you can do this, you are so much capable of this. And so yeah, I just like in that spirit, I just kept thinking. And I had like my training going into that I was just starting to do things that was different from like what I was used to. I was hitting like 180 kilometers a week, I think, for mileage. So it was like the mileage was high, everything was, a bit different. The workouts were longer, and I was very like, I was with what I had done because I didn't know what to expect in anything. What I had done, I felt like I was confident. I had that coach that was like, you're fine, just you've done a really good like training and all this. But for someone that's never done it, you keep thinking maybe I still need to do more. But he was just there like, oh no, you have done enough. You don't really need to do much. This is great. You're gonna do well. Just believe in yourself and all will be well. So yeah, going into that race, I was like, I'll just trust them. They know more than I do. And I just, yeah, I stayed with it, and it was a success at the end. And
Yeah, so
since then, I just never really I just wanted to keep the same thing going. Never change as much. I mean, yes, I'm growing and I'm learning new experiences and all that, but still sticking to the same things that got me that win in New York and the things that helped me start my marathon career.
well, you must have been doubting your coach at 25K. You must
Yeah.
have been thinking, I'm feeling rough, this isn't right. But you fast forward, it would take me a long time to forget the end of that race in Central Park.
Yeah.
And it looked to me, every woman was on their limit. Everyone was tired, and you were all exhausted. But to have that belief and that ability to dig super deep, how do you handle that sort of situation when you get there in a race? When you're in that last mile, everything in your body is telling you, slow down, stop, it's impossible. And you do the opposite. How do you unlock that?
At that time when you're still with people, when you're still with people, you still feel strong. And sometimes when you make a move and like the next maybe 100 meters, you're like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. You start to feel tired all of a sudden. Everything start to kick in, and you're just like, why did I do that? I should have at least stayed a little bit longer. But then at that time, you're like, this is the time I've worked for, and for me, when I'm in that like last kilometer, I'm like, I keep telling myself, you've run 40 plus kilometers. The only one left is maybe a kilometer. Yeah, you just think of that finish line. Just think of like the things you've done all this time to get you here. And then I just try to think of it like every 100 meters, not think of like, oh, I still have a K to go. I still have an 800 meter to go. Just think of like where I am then and focus on that and just work on like my cadence, like everything, my breathing, just try. And all these small things that you hear, you just try to like bring it all there and just be in the present and just think about like, what you've done. You've prepared for this, so you just stay in the moment and just work on that and just believe like, no one is gonna catch you. Or if they're there, you can if you are with people, then you're like, I got this, I can kick, I can do whatever. Because at that time you just you just have to talk to yourself. There's no other thing you can do. It's like, it's the point where like everything just feels hard. You're like, you're just wishing you didn't sign up for it. And then you get to the finish line and you cross and you're like, wow, you feel so amazing. But before that, yeah, it's a lot going on in your head. And your legs are tired and you're just trying to focus on like one step at a time, one step at a time.
What is it like crossing the finish line, though?
Great. Oh, so great. One is because, yes, I have finished, I have accomplished. Two, it's because, you know, there's just this relief that you feel. It's been a long time coming. It's been 3 months or 3 months of training and feeling tired every single day and wanting to give up all the time. But now you cross the finish line. You've achieved what you've worked for that time. It's just a relief of like excitement and just feeling accomplished. And just if you are lucky enough that you win, then you're not really thinking about anything else. You're thinking about, oh my God, I did it. It's just, there's just so many thoughts that go into that time. And usually for me, it's just thoughts of like just gratefulness and being able to cross there, feeling healthy and appreciative and just enjoying and thinking of like what like how am I gonna celebrate this, like calling my mom and my family and yeah.
Mm. And talking about that, actually, that sort of feeling you get when you cross the line, all those emotions that come out, and when you got that first experiences of the road racing, I'm wondering, is that sort of what really pulled you to it? Because I think you don't get this. Sorry, Hannah, but you don't get this on the track where you've got people watching you performing on the track. Whereas when you're part of a marathon, it's infectious. There's there could be 40, 50,000 people that are all doing the same thing. They're all running the same distance. They've all got that same feeling at the end of, God, that's been 2 or 3, 4 months of my life. It's been completely taken over, and everyone has these different feelings. But you can't help when you go and watch a marathon to think, actually, that looks quite sort of fun, in inverted commas, in that I want to be a part of that feeling. But every time you get that, I just wonder whether all the things that you're saying, we don't hear it a lot of times from marathon runners about sort of those feelings of just a flood of
Euphoria, isn't
emotions.
it?
Yeah, it's almost euphoria, but it's also relief.
It is. And for the most part, it's like even if you don't win or you win or whatever it is, like it's always an accomplishment for me, because I'm like I put myself into it. I put everything I had into it, and I gave everything that I could. And even just sometimes just to cross that finish line, it's a big win, because there's like injuries, there's like sickness and everything that can come in during training or during that time. And there's just so many things that you miss that you just wish you could have done, but you didn't. And then you finish it. You were focusing on this race, and then you cross that line, and you're like, no matter the result, you're just like, this is my life worth. I've always wished and prayed for this, and now that I'm here, and you get to feel like the excitement. You're tired, but you're just very excited. You're so happy. You're full of like, at that time, it's just the adrenaline running up and down. You don't really feel anything until you get to your hotel room. You sit down and you're like, oh, okay, now I can feel it. But
Yeah. Right, Sharon, I've got to address your rivalry with Hellen, because we love watching it. It's so great to watch. So just summarizing it. So from after your New York win, you get to 2023, you have that incredible finish between you, Hellen, and Gide. And that was just a brilliant end to that race. She outkicked on that occasion, did it to you again in Boston last year. I think there's only 4 seconds between you when she took Olympic bronze. I'm sorry, I'm not meaning to sort of bring out the bad memories here, because then you flipped it on its head and you out Obiri. So what was the difference between Sharon Lokedi then and 1 year apart to change that outcome in that most recent occasion?
I love Helen. I feel like every time I see a start line and Ellen is there, I'm like, oh, one time I'm like, but then I'm like, it's like, I'm very excited because apart from us being competitors, we're also friends, and every time I see her name, I know it's going to be a race, because it's like, she's one of those people that will give it to you. You're not going to take it away from it. She will give it to you. And I love having that. I like having that competition and just being in a position where I know I gave my best and like I did everything I could, to get that position. So every time, like whether it's me and her, we're just always like thinking about, let's what we're gonna do and how it's gonna go. Sometimes we'll talk about it before the race. Sometimes we can't even mention the race. We just talk of everything else except And it's just like we've found ways to like work with each other, and even like when we're like, yes, we are competitors, but we also like, I feel like the friendship comes more, and yes, we are competing, but we also have like care about each other, and how we do in the sport. So even sometimes when I drop, like before we started in the race, when with the way we fuel, I mean, we are represented by the same, like we have the same sponsor. So when we mix our water and everything, like if you've seen like most races, when I don't get my water, I would always go to Hellen, or if Hellen doesn't get our water, she'll always come to me. And it's just one of those things that we're just like, yeah, we're still working to that. We want the best for each other. So we try as much as we could to bring that out of each other. And yes, at the finish line, if you have it with you, then go for it. If you don't have, then whatever it happens, then it happens. We have like 2K to work on that. And yeah, with time, it's like, when you compete with someone, you start to like learn how they compete and all that. And I feel like with me, I just always, I'm there with her the whole time until it gets to the last, 800 or 600, and then she outkicks me. And I know this, and it's not like I don't know. I know it, and I try my best to push it earlier on as soon as I can. But she's always strong, so, and like I never, like, I'm someone that never gives up. I always try to find ways to walk, and ways to like find a way to like get to my like competitor and just get the best out of them. And sometimes it's luck, sometimes it's like maybe I'm getting stronger. But I think like mentally I'm in a place where I'm like, I'm ready and capable of just tackling it in a different way. And I've been like, yes, second or third to her for the most like of my overall races. And I always see it as like it's a good way, but I also I'm like every time I'm like, dang, one time I will get it. One time I will get it. One time I'll get it. And yeah, I keep working, and then it like this year it worked out well, and I like I was feeling the best then, and I just took it, and I believed in myself, and I went for it. And um I think, I don't know, going forward is just gonna focus on the same thing, and hopefully, we just keep getting stronger together and keep fighting. And because I feel like if having her there, I know I'm gonna run fast. So that's
We love
my
watching it.
Well,
I don't want her to be there. I still want her to be there because I know it's gonna be a good
I want to
race.
say the way you're talking about Hellen Obiri, because I raced her loads over
Yeah.
1,500 meters, and the way you're talking about her personality, that's everything I'd get in the call room.
Yeah.
When you're only racing for 4 minutes, though, you don't get all of that. But I'll tell you what, the Hellen Obiri kick is like it's yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I don't think I ever got the better of Hellen Obiri. So yeah, for you to do it, I was like, yeah, that takes a lot.
It takes a lot of time and a lot of practice, but yeah.
You mentioned your mum as well, Sharon, a little bit earlier, but just tell us what she means to you and what impact she's had, because we saw those beautiful scenes of you both hugging. I just wanted to, I mean, she probably doesn't get to watch you race a huge amount in person anyway, so that must have been particularly special.
Yeah, it's my mom actually, she like I tell people like I get my strength from her. She's like one of those, she's like took care of us since we were so young, and she's always be there, always like, wanting the best for us and believing in ourselves, even when you just don't feel like you're quite capable. So she's always been like the one pushing me and telling me, Sharon, you can do it. You've done it so many times in different ways that you don't even know, like you didn't even know you can achieve it. So this is just no big fit. And just like having someone that's always there for you, and wanting the best and wishing you everything that, she's very prayerful, and I feel like, and no matter what, I know she's like down on her knees praying for me and wanting the best for me. She calls me all the time and she's like, you're thinking about you and all this. And all through college and in my early years of like professional running, I never like, she always would like call me and everything. But it's just been so amazing now that she could be here with me and she could see me compete and she could cheer for me. So it was so special that when I won Boston, she was there, and we get to share the joy of finishing like crossing the finish line and winning, and she get to experience everything that she's always on the phone watching and wishing she was there, and just had to be there in person and see everything that goes around with like preparation and everything. I think was very cool. um I was telling people she's actually the one that woke me up that morning. She's like, I think we were supposed to leave at like 4. She was like knocking at my door at 3:40. She's like, "You're late, wake up." I'm like, "Mom, I still have 20 minutes to wake up, it's still." She's like, I just been like trying to hear like you like getting up or like the shower, anything I couldn't. And it's just so cute. And like at that time I'm so nervous, but then I'm like, oh, it was so cute.
Quite a nice reminder of normality, isn't it? The mums never change and they never think you'll be up on time.
No. But yeah, she's been able to like be in 2 of my races now. She came to New York 2023 and then this year. So, and I'm hoping to bring her more and she could at least be a part of it, because like I wouldn't be the athlete I am or the person I am without, her support and everything. So, I'm really grateful that, she gets to see this and she gets to celebrate with me every time.
Sharon, that day you won in Boston, you
Uh-huh.
smashed the course record by, I think it was 2.5 minutes or so. I just wonder how fast you think you can go, because I also wonder, when you look at your race planning, you sort of take a harder route. You do the more difficult races on the marathon circuit, on the major circuit, the Boston, New York, the 2 toughest courses of the majors, apart from maybe Sydney, maybe has joined that as one of the tougher ones too. Is that your strength, do you think, tackling those kind of courses? Do you really get up for, the flat, fast courses? Is that something that really sort of tickles your fancy at some point?
Yes, I mean, we've thought about it. Like, we would go to a race, like, like here this year we'll race, and then we're like, the next race we'll go somewhere fast and see how it goes. But plans change all the time. I feel like it, it's like, it's just, you go to these races and you're just like there's just so much that it's not just about the race anymore. It's about the people that you meet. It's about the people that you get to interact with, and just how, the preparation and everything. It just changes the way you see things. And as exciting as this has been, like, going to these races, yes, I think in the future maybe we'll try and go something, flat and fast and see how that goes. But I just like I am just having a good time now, and I really enjoy doing these races. And I feel like it gives me like I feel like I'm getting stronger as I go. I started as a 2:23, and I keep getting faster as I go. And I'm thinking I'm also like getting more experiences. I feel like as you grow, you just want to have all these. By the time you go to like something faster and something flat, you're just ready for it. And yes, I think, we've been talking with my coach, and there's always like, one of those like, yeah, well, we'll see after this, we'll see, and then other things change and plans change. But I really, yeah, I've enjoyed racing in these 2 big races. And if I could do it, I could do them forever. But I also want to venture myself and see how fast I can run, and participate in other races and see how it is. And the experiences too. I feel like you just gather so much that you never have enough of. So
Yeah. Well, those
yeah.
2 are the most like championship races, aren't they, in terms of
Yeah.
the majors, because you don't have the pacemakers. And
No.
I just looking at goals. I know you've done the Olympics, obviously in
Uh-huh.
Paris, but you
Uh-huh.
this looks like such a strength of yours that you could, you could get that global medal, at a World Championships or an Olympic Games. Is that kind of your aim long term? Do you look at LA? Is that something that's really very much on your agenda?
Definitely. I would tell people I'm so great. Like, it feels so awesome that I went to the Olympics and I go fourth. Everyone is like, you go fourth at the Olympics. That's amazing. But, as a person, you're like, yes, it's great. But it's like, it's like, I was so close to getting a medal. It's like, it's so close. So, yes, I still really I feel like until I get a medal, I still I would keep looking for it and looking for it, and working hard to it. And Yes, my really biggest goal is in LA and hopefully be in a medal contention and, because at this time I never believed I would ever make to these places. And now, I went to the Olympics and going to the World Championships and going to these big races. But here I am, and I'm always like, I want to get more and grow in this sport and hopefully, help other people, that show them that anything is possible. You don't have to start from like, the grid, like all like anywhere, like you can always achieve whatever it is that you want if you start somewhere and you just believe in yourself, and anything is possible.
No, it's interesting that, that story. We have so many of the brilliant Kenyan athletes. They'll be world junior champion, on the cross country, on the track, whenever, and they progress and they progress and they progress. So it's really interesting to hear, a variation on that story. And I'm also wondering, you were saying as the oldest of 4 siblings, did you inspire any of your other siblings to go into sport? Did they get inspired? Then they see the hard work.
They tried. I mean, at least that counts, right? They tried. One of my sisters tried, but it didn't. I think they all just preferred, and I think they were already at the age where they're just not thinking about like, starting running and all that. So yeah, no, they just go to school and do other things, and I'm like, okay, I'll just be the only one then in the family. But I hope like even if it's not my family, and I can still help other people outside of my family, and just young girls to know that anything you just decide to do and put yourself in it, that you can do anything.
Right, New York.
Yeah.
We're talking to you just a few weeks out. I know you're all really heavily into this training now. And guess who's in this one again? Hellen Obiri. You can't stay away from each other. Sheila Chokrui's in there. Goitotum Gebrselassie is in there as well. They're just a few. Another brilliant lineup has been assembled as we're seeing for these majors. They're just so exciting to watch. I mean, hard to predict, but expecting another tight race, I guess. Are you going to speak to Hellen about a plan maybe this time?
Well, we'll probably talk about it when we are there, but usually we don't really say anything. We just look at each other like this, and it's it's time. It's go time. But as you say, it's a very packed field, and I really love having when the competition is that tight, because then I know it's gonna be work from the start. So I'm really excited that we just get to like be there and compete and just be the strongest as we could be, and just see who has it on that day. But yeah, I think it's one of those. It's not going to be easy. And I mean, Sifan is there too, so that's the other thing. There's now like 3 or 4 people that you have to worry about them going out and kicking it in. So that's never never fun. But it just changes the way you view things and the training. And in a way, I think it's good. I think I love when these competitions are this competitive, because then it brings out the best in all of us.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be such an amazing race between you all. I forgot about Sifan Hassan, because obviously she was a later edition, wasn't she? Straight after she won Sydney. So I mean, all kinds of carnage could play out in this one. I think it's going to be a fantastic way to end the majors this year between a lot of you. Just before we go in, just before we wrap up, just in terms of your plan for next year, have you got anything sort of sorted out in terms of what you want to do in spring?
Not quite. They usually say one after the other. So maybe like, after New York, we can start thinking about it. But it's tough to tell. But whatever I'm going to be going, I hope, I'm going to have Hellen with me and
London, come to London.
I would come to London. Every time I see people, like it's a beautiful race. I really would love to. So if you put a word for me, I would definitely.
We will absolutely do that. No one will listen to us, but we will try our very best. Before we let you go, Sharon, as well, we've got to say that we share sponsors with you as well, because Morton sponsor this pod. So I guess, can we just get a word from you on how they've helped you and if we talk about fueling before a race as well, how you
Yeah.
kind of go about that?
I've actually been with Morton since I started. So they've been my supporters since I started like this marathon running. So it's just one of those companies that you just like I am the person I am because they've been there supporting me every time. So yeah, I really love Morton. Like I use it every time, like almost every day. I have let's say for example, or I'll give you a weekly like how I do in the week. So usually on Mondays I'll have one in the afternoon, one sachet in the afternoon because then it's preparation for the next workout. And then for the workout in the morning, I'll have a packet depending on what the workout is. For Tuesdays, usually track. So then I'll have one mix and then maybe a gel if it's longer workout. And then Wednesday afternoon again, I'll have a little bit of 160. And then for long run, then I have the mix, and then I'll have gel depending on how long it is. Sometimes it's one gel, sometimes it's two. And since it's like long run, I'm trying to emulate like how I do for like rest days. So usually I'll have a gel before I go for before I start the long run, and then during I'll have one, and then after I'll just have the mix, and I'll have the mix too during. So it's almost is like just trying to emulate how I do in the race. And then on Saturday I also have a mix. So it's like it's one of those that you just have it every other day. But it also is like it's one of the products that I'm like I feel like it's helped me so much. Like I don't feel like tired or like like that's things that you wake up in the morning and you're like I have a workout, I don't feel like I can really do it, but I feel like every time I know I can always go back and get a Mortin, like either like if it's a gel or if it's a bar to pick me up when I'm like really feeling it in the afternoon, or just a mix. Yeah, so it's been one of those that I really depend on to do the work that I do. And with all the mileage that you need, you really need to like make sure that you're fueling enough. So I tend to like make sure like I'm like at least having it every day. It doesn't have to be daily depending on how I feel, but it's sometimes it can be like every other day, or if it's a very tough week, I'll have it. And then on rest day, you have to also have it like every 5 kilometers. So I usually have the mix. Depending, sometimes I have more than I usually should.
Yeah, how much? I mean, because it's quite hard to. I mean, it's just. I think people don't really realize that how much you guys are really taking on,
Yeah.
and training yourself to do that, because it's really hard. You're going pretty much. You're especially when you're fatiguing and you have to take it on, but you just don't want it, do you? I mean, that's the last thing you want to do.
It is. It's like it's like you have to also know that you like it's for a long time I was like, oh, I don't know if my stomach can take it, but it's like you need it. It works. So you really need, because you need to be strong those last kilometers. And and sometimes I'm like when I'm like starting to feel like tired and all this, I'm like my Morton could really pick me up right now, and and we're so grateful that we get to like have it every 5 kilometers. And for me, everyone measures theirs different. But, for me, I usually try to make it like at least 160 in every of my bottle, or like I'll have a 320 and in the full like a 320 in the 500 ml bottle. And then I mix it, and then I have it in like two of my race bottles. So I have half of that.
Mm-hmm.
So one bottle is two small bottles for my race. So it's a lot, but it's like it's what my stomach is used to, because I do this in my training. Like I make sure that I'm having enough, and I having the same that I would have on race day, just to make sure that it's not messing up with my stomach or anything else, and that my body is used to it. That way it's just like, oh, what is that, and so I tend to do that more in training and just get too used to it. And then on rest day, then when I have it, it's like, and it's like you can hold like, I think it's like people can have half of it, and I usually have like 3/4 just in case. And I tend to stay with mine for a little bit longer, just so I could have enough and just not get a sip and throw the whole thing out. So just make sure that I'm having as much as I could before I could drop my bottle. So
Yeah.
yeah, but
Yeah.
it's honestly something that you have to learn And I think it's different for for elites and for just regular people in general. It's just very different. And I think it helps knowing what your body needs and how what it can take, and just being aware not to overdo it or not to underdo it, because later on in the race you really need them, because that's when you're starting to feel tired. Everything is just starting to hit you. And yeah, just having the right amount, and I think helps a lot.
Mm. Well, let's hope it does the job in New York for you, Sharon. It's been fantastic
Oh,
speaking to you and hearing about your career, because we've done it for a long time. And yeah, we're very much looking forward to another epic end, maybe, to the New York City Marathon. So best of luck, and thank you for joining us on Podium.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. I enjoyed chatting with all of you.